We drop Islam because Islam is a Sudanese religion. I think let us first and foremost accept ourselves as Sudanese. This is what can unite us. Al-Uruba cannot unite us. Africanism that is opposed to Uruba cannot unite us. Islam cannot unite us. Christianity cannot unite us, but Sudanism can unite us. Yes. Because it is a common problem. Let us also drop these crazy ideas that we must all be Arabs. Even God will not accept this. In His infinite wisdom, it is this same God that made the Arabs, that made the Nuba, that made the Fur, that made the Dinka, that made the Nubians, that made the Bija, that made the Shuluk, that made all the 500 different ethnic groups in the Sudan. And who is this to amend God's creation? This person. Zol al-Biamul amendment, I would say is against God. I will win this case. Wallahi lazim. Whoa! Whoa! We as Sudanese have a concrete anchor. We have an anchor in history. Is our mind an anchor in history? Then you are a nobody. And whatever you are doing will come to nothing. لكن عندنا حدود حقيقي في التاريخ. We go back a long ways. And sometimes it is necessary to go back in order to go forward. And we need to make this exercise in the Sudan so that we can find our bearings. Because if you don't have a past, then you cannot possibly have a future. But then we do not fall from the sky. We have been here all along. There is also a series of books, The General History of Africa by UNESCO, volumes 1 to 7. And volume 2 covers the Nile Valley and the Horn of Africa. I recommend that you read, you acquire and read this book. It's by UNESCO and it is authoritative. It has lots of research. I also recommend that you read a lot about ancient Egypt, which is very much interconnected with the Sudan. We have a long history. Peoples and kingdoms have lived, thrived, and disappeared in the geographical area now that constitutes the present Sudan. Yet, and despite all this wealth of historical evidence, the present and previous rulers in Khartoum present a false picture of our country, as if the Sudan started with them, and as if the history and reality of the Sudan consists only of specific parameters, Arabism and Islamism. We are much bigger than that. Our contention in the SPLM is that the Sudan belongs to all the peoples that now inhabit the country, and its history, its diversity, and richness is the common heritage of all the Sudanese people. It is important to establish this firm anchor in history and to affirm that the Sudan and we, the Sudanese, are indeed a historical people. And so let no one push you off the rails of history. Kan auze lizuk barra min al-tarikh, ita kanga shinagola. And I am here to stay, and I have equal rights like anybody else. I have called this historical diversity, and it is very rich. Our academicians, our scholars should have muzid min al-study. We should have interdisciplinary teams from various disciplines to study our languages, because there's a lot of commonality. We articulated our objective as the achievement of the new Sudan, a new Sudanese political dispensation, and that this new Sudanese political dispensation cannot be forced on people. It must be voluntary, and therefore, in our literature, we have what we call voluntary unity of the country. That is where the issue of the right of self-determination comes in, and it is important that this be put in its proper context. The right of self-determination, and it has concerned many Northerners, that this will bring disunity, that it will bring separation. And I say quite categorically, yes, it can bring separation if the new Sudan is not achieved. Nobody would accept to be a second-class citizen in his or her own country. And so, unless we achieve a new Sudanese political dispensation, a new Sudan that belongs to all of us equally, in which we are equal stakeholders, then why should I remain in a country where I'm called Abid? No, I will not. But then, let us therefore take the bull by the horns and change the Sudan so that it belongs to all of us, so that it remains united. Otherwise, hypercube. What is it that we have agreed? We have signed 6 agreements: Nachakos, security arrangements, wealth sharing, power sharing, 2 areas with Jubal and Nuba, and Blue Nile, Wabie. These 6 protocol agreements constitute the core peace agreement. And so we can actually say that we have reached a peace agreement. We are left only with 2 issues: a comprehensive ceasefire and implementation modalities, which will be annexes. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of the peace agreement. We don't have the time to do that. And they are also available in the internet. You can visit our website, www.splmtoday.com. They are also available in other Sudanese websites, and many of you have read these documents. I am aware that the new Sudan has been criticized by some people in the past as utopian, that it is wishful thinking. This is because, as we have seen, the new Sudan has several dimensions. It is at the same time a vision which guides us, as well as an objective to be achieved, and also it embodies elements of a strategy and tactics. And so for those who see the new Sudan only as a vision, they conclude that it is unrealistic. While for those who see it as an objective, they conclude that it is unachievable. While those who see the new Sudan as a strategy and tactics lose sight of the vision aspects and easily get distracted in the course of the struggle. And sometimes they end up capitulating, overwhelmed by the enormity of the vision and the duration of the struggle. And so some people try to take shortcuts, such as the Khartoum Peace Agreement, the Fashoda Agreement, the Djibouti Peace Agreement. There are no shortcuts and no easy walk to freedom, and no easy walk to New Sudan. The only viable political framework, I believe, for the SPLM, for the NDA, and for the National Congress Party even, and for all the political forces in the Sudan, is the vision and program of the New Sudan. All other political programs, whether it is Tawajj al-Hadari of the National Congress Party, or the quasi-liberal democratic regimes of the past, or military dictatorship, can only result in the disintegration of our country. Only al-Sudan al-Jadid, al-Bashmul Nihna Kuluna, will preserve the unity of our country. And this should be taken seriously. Because we have seen what has happened. No regime should be allowed to declare jihad against its own people. This is a recipe for disaster. How you say those people will declare jihad on them? Now, in this context, I want to talk about Darfur, because some people are mystified about what is going on in Darfur, and it is tragic, but it was bound to happen. What is happening in Darfur is government, what I would call government counterinsurgency gone wrong. See, counterinsurgency, and this is a military subject. When a regime is confronted with insurgency, it develops counterinsurgency. Hajat Data Tamarad. I don't know what the counterinsurgency is in Arabic.
Yeah, that's right.
Mudada Tamarad Gul. Al-Mudada Tamarada, the logic of it is that the government recruits people, individuals, from the constituency of the Mutamaradin, from the constituency of the insurgents. Government trains this and forms them into counterinsurgency units. These counterinsurgency units then fight alongside regular troops to defeat the insurgents. So far, this is legitimate. And you go to any US training school here, you will find FMs, field manuals, on counterinsurgency. What has happened in the Sudan is different from what I have just said. Recruiting individuals from the constituency of the insurgents. Why